hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah. So how can somebody improve their creativity if they're not feeling as creative as like the next person?
Yeah, and also, what kind of stuff causes people to lose creativity?
Hmm.
Right. Okay. Good questions. Just jotting a note because I am an expert rabbit hole runner. So you're
Well,
gonna have to
welcome. You're
pull
in the
me
right
back
place.
occasionally. So let's talk about what hinders people from being creative.
Hmm.
And um, um, there are lots of blockages. So we need to understand, first of all, get this out of the way. We are all creative individuals. Again, one of the things that I love is I'll have a session and people will be coming into the meeting, and I might introduce myself, before things get started, and they'll say, well, I don't know why I'm here because I'm really not a very creative person.
Mm.
And I go, yeah, we'll see about that. And by the time they leave, they're like, wow, I didn't realize I was such a creative person. I go home and try some of this stuff. And when I see that transformation in a human, again, makes me excited. Now, why do we think that we're not creative? We, for a number of reasons, there are a lot of mental blockages that we set up over our life. And for different reasons, some of them are legitimate in a sense, but at the same time, they create dysfunctionality in our creativity. So I'll give you a simple one, and again, it's something that I use in my sessions. I'll tell the group to stand, and I'm going to give you a simple instruction. I want you all to kick your butts, and they will and they will stand and they will try their best to kick their heel, their butts with the back of their heel or something creative like that. And that's kind of creative. But the point is this, and I'll say, sit down. You all failed. I said, I want you to learn to kick your BUTS, the butts in our heads. Oh, I had a really good idea, but I had no money. Or I see something on the job and I was going to talk to my boss about it, but he ain't going to go for it. And we throw those butts in like roadblocks. Not only do we do it to ourselves, we do it to each other. Right?
Yeah.
So Kurt gonna come and tell me, Nick, I was thinking, and I'm gonna start doing some podcasts and stuff like that. And I said, Kurt, that's a good idea, but I don't think you can get the following. Boom. You see it?
Yeah.
Yep, this happens a lot.
You see it?
I've experienced
It
it a lot.
happens a lot. And you know what's interesting? Even in the language, people will say, that's a good idea, but and they drop their voice at the but the but is the biggest part of the statement.
Yep.
And our brain picks up the but. So one of the things I teach people is to be cognizant of the buts that we tell ourselves,
Mm.
and be cognizant of the buts that we tell others, because we killing people's ideas every day when we in conversation, and we end up saying, I am not smart enough, but I am not smart enough, but I am not rich enough, but I am not good enough, and you fill in the blank. But it's always preceded by a but. So the first thing we need to learn to do is kick our butts. All right? Now,
Right.
how do we improve on our creative potential? I'm gonna give you just a broad brush answer for that one because there are hundreds of tools and techniques that we can use, and that is what I do as a facilitator. I would say that one of the first things we need to do is understand our creative thinking style preference. So research has shown that yes, we are all creative individuals, but the way in which we think creatively can be broken down into 4 basic preferences, 4 different styles. So once you start to understand your style, then you can see it in the context of, and just a quick run through. And of course, because our brains are complex and we are humans and we're complex beings, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But the four fundamental categories are, some of us are clarifiers. We like to get information. We feel like we need to have information before we can move forward. Some of us are what we call ideators. You just give them a problem and they're off and running with ideas and solutions. Some of us are developers in the way we think, in the sense that you give us the idea and we'll put the wheels on it. We'll run with it. We'll develop it into something bigger, better, faster, stronger. And then we have the implementers. They just want to get moving and start doing something. These are, I have to point this out, this is very important. These are preferences. These are not personality types.
Gotcha.
And so because of the preferences, like how you prefer to use your right hand instead of your left hand, you can also learn how to function in the other areas outside of your comfort zone. They're all open to all of us.
Okay.
The other thing real quickly I'll say, and I'll try to shut up, is that the most productive or effective creative thinking or creative problem-solving process happens when you have individuals who represent all of the preferences together working on it. The problem is we don't like people who think differently to us. If I'm somebody who likes to implement, I like to do things, okay? And you, Freon, you are somebody who wants more information. You asking questions. You driving me up the wall. Why you need to know so much questions? Why are you asking me? Let's just get this thing moving. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the
sound like me and my wife.
Huh?
Sound like me and my wife.
It works even in the context of interpersonal relationships. This is not something just only for the lab or the workplace. It transcends even our relationships in our families and our friendships. Okay.
Wow. I might need to take a course one of these days because you just dropped some words, man. One thing I think is going to be the take-home message today is to kick your butts.
Kick your butts.
That made me think of so many times where I've told someone an idea and then they tell me, well, blah, 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 but blah, blah, blah. And then I, sometimes they get in my head and I say, well, they're probably right. Let me not even try. Other times I push through and I'm like, you know what? I don't agree with them. I'm going to still try and see what happens. Or I'm going to figure it out on my own somehow. But I will say more often than not, hearing it or even thinking it yourself makes you not try. Because you feel like, well, why try if I know I'm going to fail?
Yes. Yes. I'll give you a quick story on that. I had a buddy who worked in the airline industry for many years. He loved the airline industry, loved traveling, the benefits and all of that. He had to take a time out because of some illness, extended illness, and then tried to get back in and wasn't getting back in. He'd be sending me resumes, asked me to help him with his resume and all this stuff. And I said to him one day, look, I know you love the airline industry. How about coming up with something creative and new and innovative for the airline industry? And he said, like what? And I said, I'm sure you've been there. If you've traveled more than twice, you've been there, maybe even once. We get to our destination, we're standing at the conveyor belt waiting for our bags to come off, and you have that anxious moment of, did my bag make it? You know what I mean? Is it gonna come in? And so I said, people are using the pit tags to implant into animals so that if the animal goes astray, you can still kind of track them. How about if we had developed a suitcase with a tracker tag? This is, again, going back a couple of years now, right? But with a tracker tag and an app. So when you get to your destination, you can open the app and you know whether your bag is with you at JFK or if it's on its way to Rio. Man, that ain't gonna work because I said, okay. And I don't remember a year and a half later, I sent him a link one day. He said, what's this? I said, open it. I said, you open it? He said, yeah, it's advertising a suitcase. I said, did you read it? Samsonite. You know Samsonite suitcases? One of the most popular brands of suitcases. Guess what? They're marketing suitcases with tags in them that you can track. But he had his butt ready for me. B-U-T, that is, just to be clear. And I said, okay, the next time I give you an idea, you're going to have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, but we do that all the time. We throw in the butts and we paralyze ourselves.
I feel like there's a time when we have to realize that we're always thinking like, what's the next idea we can think of to be more innovative or more creative? And we always want to have the next best thing. And sometimes it's right in the palm of our hands, but because of the buds,
Yes,
we miss out. And then like a
yes,
year later, you see your idea on TV.
yes, yes. Or like Fion said, yeah, we kill it. And you know, the other thing that happens?
Mm,
You see somebody with a simple idea, pet rocks,
yeah,
and making millions, and you go, man, I wish I had thought of that.
yeah.
How many times have we said that? I wish I had thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably did, but the butt came up and killed it, and we moved on.
Yeah. I would like to say that for Fion, when I tell him ideas, he's never given me a butt ever. He's always going above and beyond. So I kind of make my own butt because he doesn't give me a chance to, and that's what I appreciate about him personally. That's when to put
I'm a
out there.
That's a good
facilitator.
friend to have.
Yeah.
I'm a
This,
facilitator. I'm
yeah.
a person. Anytime someone comes to me with something, I'm always
Mhm.
thinking how to make this thing happen. I never think, well, this is what could make it not happen. Because
Mhm.
for me, Kurt know this. I'm a very optimistic person generally.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I always see the silver lining. I always see the positives. It's rare for me to see the negatives, unless it's something like racism. Then I see a negatives all the
Yeah.
time. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think in life we all need someone like that, someone who gonna be your quote unquote hype man to take your idea and run with it, even if it's something that could seem like science fiction. I feel like you always need someone who's gonna help you with that to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a boss one time. We had I wasn't a boss, sorry, a colleague, and we had an idea, and it was kind of in my department. I said, "What's a good idea? I'll take it to my boss." And I took it to my boss, and he said, in long story short, no.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it back to my colleague, and I said, the boss said no, and my colleague's immediate response was, "Well, we're just gonna have to find somebody in the organization who says yes."
Yep.
And at that point in my time, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh no, you can't do that. My boss says no, it did, leave it there,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the only closed door is a door that we accept is closed,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
And you have to watch that as well.
The other thing I want to say, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say you have to watch it as well with bosses and colleagues that they might turn on your idea just to have it as their own idea to turn in later on. So you need to be careful with accepting the
Absolutely,
butts.
absolutely. And let me flip that a little bit. Bosses need to be careful when employees come to them with ideas, and the boss says, but we don't have money for that, right? And guess what? If you are an employee like Fion, you're gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna quit this job. I'm gonna go across the road. I'm gonna open another business, my own business, doing the same thing, but offering my innovative service or my creative service. And you run that same boss out of town who didn't give legitimacy to your idea. It happens. So we need to know to be able to foster creativity in each other.
Yes.
One other quick thing I want to say is that, again, it's getting back to the question, how do we improve? Creativity is like a muscle, believe it or not. It's a brain thing, which is not muscle tissue. But again, researchers have shown the more creative exercises, practices, activities we engage in, our neural configuration changes. The brain becomes better at being creative.
Mm,
Fact.
nice.
And listen, it could be as seemingly insignificant as today I'm going to brush my teeth with my non-dominant hand. I'm going to learn how to do it with my non-dominant hand. You are causing the brain to rewire to, I'm not a neurologist, so, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Causing the brain to figure out how to do something, the same thing you've done routinely for the last 40 years or whatever, differently.
Yep.
And that improves the brain's creative functioning.
Good.
Yeah, that sounds like it makes sense to me. I learned how to do a lot of stuff with my left hand. I'm not a naturally ambidextrous person, but I've become ambidextrous over time from just doing it once a day, every day, until I can do it. I can eat with chopsticks with both my hands. I can write with, well, I can't write yet, but I'm working on writing with both my hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. I think a lot of things that we feel we can't do now just requires us to practice at it at least once a day. And I know for sure, like they say that they have the saying, practice makes perfect. But I think someone told me recently that's not a good saying. It should be practice makes better. And so you kind of confirm
I like that. I like that. By the way, there's a great book. You may know the name Sanjay Gupta.
Yes.
That name ring a bell? He's CNN's medical reporter. He wrote a book called Keep Sharp, Build a Better Brain at Any Age. And he just explores that development of the neurons, the brain muscles, if you will. But the point that he makes is simply that the more we do that, the more we stay functionally efficient as we age. So it debunks the whole myth about aging and mental decline. Our brains decline just like our muscles atrophy when we don't use them.
So that means you're strongly against can't teach a dog new tricks.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Every day we can learn new tricks. Even an old dog like me, I'm learning new tricks.
Look at you on Discord and everything.
They are right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.